Welcome to my presentation about Labour's Unhinged NDIS Bill. The bill passed through the House on the 6th, and they are trying to make it Australian law on the 21st. This is a very short period of time. Why rush this bill? Because Labour knows that you would care and try to stop it. Don't let them circumvent your empathy, make them fight through it. We are going to go through what the new NDIS bill proposes. The infographics are from the Greens, Jordan Still on Instagram. Number 1, the government wants to have total control. So the bill gives the government complete power to decide when, where, and how your supports are delivered, which providers deliver these supports. The minister can do this by categorizing disabled people into classes or groups and making rules especially for them. So, how are support needs determined? Our current system is based on individual support needs, i.e., what does this disabled person need? The new NDIS bill is based on a disability first model. What does this disability need? So we are moving from a human-focused model to a disability-focused model. Sounds great. Instead of what supports are reasonable and necessary for this individual, we are replacing this with a single definition of NDIS supports as decided by the government. So the current NDIS asks the question, what support does this disabled person need? There is you, the disabled person, and oh looky, all of these things that you need for your disability that are covered by the NDIS as part of your NDIS plan. Labour's NDIS bill, disability-focused model. What might this look like? What support does this disability need? So we will have this umbrella, and then there's you. But then now, there's also this person, and this person, and this person, and these people. And, oh, look at all these people. But we're all so different. No, but you guys don't get it. It's good. You can all get lumped together into the same disabled category. It won't matter how different you are from one another. You're all the same type of disabled. This is the new system. Disability categories? A very hypothetical example. Under the new system, the disability-focused model, you will have the categories. Say, for example, this is the autism category. And then the government can decide what NDIS supports go to the autism category. This could include, hypothetical, I just made this up, but they could decide that this includes a support worker, a clinical psychologist, an occupational therapist, and a cleaner. And maybe that's just what goes in the autism bucket, right? Who decides what each category needs? Our specialists, right? The disabled person's clinical expert, right? Wrong! Who decides what each category needs? A politician, of course! Under the new system, there could be supports that are not included in the government-defined autism category, but are needed by many, such as meals, noise-cancelling headphones, transport, and support animals. But since these do not fall under the autism category as defined by the government, what if I need these?
Too fucking bad.
I repeat, this is a hypothetical example. None of this is real, I just made it up. But this is how the system will work in terms of the government deciding what goes into the category for whatever the disability is, and then the other shit that you might have covered currently under the current NDIS system. Too fucking bad. The next unhinged part of Labour's NDIS bill, the agency can use a participant's history of overspend, no matter how reasonable, to remove flexibility of funding from the participant or take away the participant's right to self-manage their plan. What happens if the government decides you've spent too much of your budget too quickly? So your NDIS fund will have a hard ceiling. They will track how much of it you have spent over time. But in order to track overspending, if you have spent too much too quickly, it will activate a warning. And based off of that warning, you can have your right to self-manage your own plan taken away. And remember, no matter how reasonable. Do you guys remember Free Britney? Britney Spears was placed under a conservatorship for her own well-being. She did not have the right to choose where her money was spent or when. They took away her right to make financial decisions for herself, and gee, wasn't that scary. Should the government have the power to use this, your spending of too much too quickly, to do this to disabled Australians? Obviously no! But the Labour Party is trying to quietly make it the law this Friday, June 21st. Now, is overspend even a true phenomenon? Are participants overspending, or do they have underfunded NDIS plans? Are they being overcharged by providers? Are they denied access to cheaper alternatives? Are they given funding for things that they don't want or need instead of things that they actually need. If some NDIS participants overspend by committing fraud, is it a statistically significant number? Reminder, when the NDIA's Deputy CEO of Integrity Transformation and Fraud Fusion Task Force, John Dardo, was asked by Senator Jordan Steele John how many individual cases of participants using their NDIS funds to purchase alcohol have you actually identified in the last financial year? I bet he has a really good answer. It would be in the hundreds. It is well beyond that, but the systems are not mature enough to actually know. Our integrity work stops at the point where we establish that it wasn't on a specific NDIS related claim. I don't keep a category by category description. A note on statistical power. This phenomenon should need to prove systemic for the government to change Australian law to give the government the power to take away financial independence from disabled Australians. Will this bill collectively punish the disabled population of Australia for the actions of a few? Because the NDIA has failed to provide evidence of systemic fraud committed by NDIS participants, individual instances lack statistical power or relevance. The instance given by Deputy CEO John Dardo was that a participant had a $480,000 annual NDIS plan. It turned out that he only needed $20,000 per year and stole the rest, which is bizarre to say the least, given the fact that lots of people can't even get access to, noise cancelling headphones for their autistic children because it just doesn't get approved. But somehow this guy gets to steal $460,000 from the NDIS in 1 year. Evidently, we have a system where some people are getting $460,000 just loose, and then other people have to beg and plead for every tiny little thing. Like, oh, this one guy stole $460,000 of it. That's so crazy. People who wear backpacks get hit by cars. Source, there was a guy with a backpack who got hit by a car. Oh, look. There are all of these other people with backpacks as well. I wonder if perhaps there is another variable involved, or if in fact it is the backpacks that determine whether or not you are hit by a car. Oh look, turns out that he was on the road. Perhaps people who walk into traffic get hit by cars. See how all the other people wearing backpacks aren't walking into traffic? We would actually need statistical data that showed that there was a meaningful correlation between wearing a backpack and getting hit by a car. This guy's crazy story actually isn't enough to change what legislation we give to the rest of these people because he ran into traffic. Clown quotes. I just want to address some of these quotes in the answers that were given by John Dardo. The systems are not mature enough to actually know. If your systems lack the capacity to quantify your claim, then why is it informing legislative changes that will impact the disabled population of Australia? Would love the answer. Next, our integrity work stops at the point where we established that it wasn't on a specific NDIS related claim. I don't keep a category by category description. So you don't even count how many people on the NDIS spend their NDIS funds on alcohol. That's not a number that you have. That's not even a spurious correlation. That's a lack of data points. And they want to take away financial independence from disabled Australians over these claims. Here we have a leaky water pipe as a NDIS metaphor. So we have water going in and coming out. In this situation, water equals money. Water in is government money invested into the NDIS. The pipe is the NDIS system itself. Water out is NDIS funds used successfully. Water lost is NDIS funds spent unsuccessfully. And leaks are NDIS systemic failures. Examples of leaks. The NDIS approval system is not run by healthcare professionals. Some people get approved for things they don't need. Others don't get approval for things that they need with clinical evidence. Less money would be wasted if the people running it weren't literally just guessing because they don't know anything about their disability. NDIS providers are allowed to overcharge disabled people for services that able-bodied people get for cheaper. Money into price gouging pockets equals wasted NDIS funds. So we're going to look at the NDIS system as a leaky pipe. So if we have a high volume of water flowing through the system, well, we have a high number of leaks, which makes a high volume of water lost. We want this to go down. That is basically the government's bottom line. They want this to be reduced. Remember, water equals money, and the goal is to reduce water lost. More water out? Is this even a goal or more of an inconvenience? Because water out is money being spent successfully for the NDIS. So what is Labor's NDIS Bill plan? Reduce water. So if we have less water flowing through the system, but we keep the same number of leaks so that the same percentage of water is lost, there's less water leaking out and the water lost total is less. There is just less water total, which means that people who had water before won't get water anymore because there is less water total. Is this a concern for our government? Evidently not. If only there was another way. Crazy idea. Fix the leaky pipe. You could have the same total water volume traveling through the pipe, fewer leaks, and look, the water lost is lower. No one would lose their access to water and less water would be lost. What could be the problem? Big problem! Fixing infrastructure costs the government money. It is much cheaper and easier to just reduce disabled people's access to healthcare. Reminder that when we have less total water, that is less people overall getting NDIS support. The next thing that Labor's NDIS bill will do is give more power to the NDIA and CEO. The NDIA can demand within a strict time frame more info from your specialist or that you undergo more specialist assessments. If you are unable, you can be suspended or removed from the scheme. Why this is madness is that specialists book out months in advance and also cost hundreds of dollars. This is an expense that most disabled people budget for throughout the year. Lastly, they would like to weaken the right to appeal decisions. This is so obviously bad. Hi, I've made these new rules where I have preemptively declared that you cannot review or appeal. If this negatively impacts your life, I have already planned ahead and decided that you cannot challenge decisions made about your healthcare. This will be easy to get away with because no one will listen to or believe disabled voices when they speak up about being mistreated. So basically what the Labour government is currently doing is manufacturing consent from the public to strip rights from disabled Australians. It is easier to pass legislation that dehumanizes entire groups of people if you have prepped and primed your constituents with propaganda that vilifies that group beforehand. Claiming that disabled people are using their NDIS funds to pay for alcohol or lavish vacations, etc., while providing no evidence of a systemic problem is political propaganda. The recipe: manufacture consent, collectively punish disabled Australians, disabled people suffer, the public doesn't care because of manufactured consent, the government gets to sacrifice disabled lives to save money with little to no friction from the general public. This is their recipe, this is their plan, this is their expectation.
Please, don't prove them right.
In conclusion, we gotta stop this fucking bill. It's crazy. In conclusion, we need to stop this bill. It's nuts and it's bad. It will destroy disabled people's lives. It will kill some and ruin the quality of life of most. Send an email to your MPs about how upset you are about this. This bill goes to the Senate this Friday, June 21st. So we really need a push because this is crazy. Okay, thank you everyone.